We managed to get a quarterback in the 4th round. Thanks. Look, he's having fun with a laughing emoji. In fact, I would like to secure several options in the 4th round. Could you convince me to pick a running back, or perhaps a solid player to reinforce the defense against the running game? There's also the possibility of adding depth to the positions that need improvement. I really wish I had a 4th round pick that wasn't lost. I hope this player develops into a great player, but it's frustrating. There's always a relevant contribution, which is a feature of YouTube, as well as real-time donations. You can support outside of live videos by clicking on the thanks icon and sending whatever you find appropriate. Even if the contribution is symbolic, that's fine, but it's crucial to avoid inappropriate comments. This is a simple request. We appreciate your support. Any help, just like a live donation, is a recognition on the show. A $5 donation was offered by a participant who seems to be wearing a shirt that I also like. Could you imagine a scenario where a quarterback is chosen in the early rounds? It would be a negative surprise, but it's common for the starter to get injured. Thanks for everything. You're amazing. I don't consider this happening in the 1st round. I don't think this will happen. It's extremely unlikely. I just can't picture it happening. Even if a specific player is available, I can't conceive of this pick. The only way it could happen in the 2nd round is if that player drops to that spot. But if that happens, I'd be concerned because the evaluation of that player is 2nd round quality, which suggests they're usually picked in the 1st round due to the value placed on quarterbacks. Even with my interest, it's hard to imagine this team opting for a quarterback in the early rounds after they just renewed the starter's contract. If there were still 2 years left on his contract, it would spark a different conversation. However, given the notable lack of talent in this class, I have a mid-2nd round evaluation for a specific player and another mid-2nd round evaluation for another. I'm not sure I'll rank another quarterback in my top 100. I'm not particularly optimistic about a particular player. I have one player I consider a late 4th round prospect and another in the 3rd to 4th round range, positioning him around the top 100 for me. I don't see this as a strong class. Therefore, I think they could go for someone in the 5th round. There are many candidates, including a long list of players who could fit in the 5th or 6th round. What round do you think the team will pick a quarterback? Leave your opinions in the comments. As for the player Hurts, I don't feel comfortable labeling him as elite. I understand the perspective, but I've always considered him good. To some extent, I feel that both Hurts and the starter face unjust disrespect, not just from team fans, but also from the league's media. Often, it seems to stem from where they were selected. Draft position can, in some cases, give players more leeway than they really deserve. For example, why do we keep giving chances to another player who has never shown consistent performance? Winning a playoff game doesn't mean being an excellent player. Also, how do we define elite? For me, elite includes athletes like Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and Burrow. This group of players is pretty narrow. I don't intend to elevate many other quarterbacks into this category, which results in a broader group of athletes just outside the top 10. Someone has to occupy the 5th position, but that doesn't mean they're truly top 5 players, and that's how I classify those individuals. Ultimately, restructuring contracts often serves to redistribute values. There will be a notable effect on the performance of other quarterbacks, leading them into a comparable category, which forms a broad group of players who fall just outside the top 10. Someone must occupy the 5th position, even if they aren't truly a top 5 player, which is how I classify these athletes. Now, turning to the matters of contract restructures and the carryover of funds, what advantages does this bring? The primary benefit is the capacity to carry over money. Personally, I wish a particular team would adopt this method more frequently. They don't have to take significant steps in this direction, but there is a strong argument that if a player is on a multi-year contract with a base salary for a given season, it would be prudent to restructure annually. In the worst-case scenario, the unused funds are simply carried over, a technique that certain teams have employed successfully. For instance, one player recently agreed to a 1-year contract valued at $3 million, with 4 void years added for that purpose. It raises the question, why not embrace this method? Unfortunately, not all teams consistently adhere to this approach, which can be disheartening when they attempt restructures but fail to use the available funds. My belief is that they intended to set aside an additional $6 million for a player, but he ended up demanding more than they expected, causing them to abandon that path. Regarding the situation of a particular player, if it is true that no official offer has been extended, could another team potentially acquire him before the draft? It's crucial to note that there's a selection process concerning this choice, and individuals can visit a platform to participate. The entry fee is set at $5 for a chance to win a fraction of the prize pool, based on the closest prediction of the trade date. In this case, everyone involved is cognizant of the financial repercussions. Although there may not have been a formal offer made to the player's representative, this situation resembles that of college coaching, where a coach typically does not acknowledge an offer until it is formally given. Offers are rarely outright declined, despite numerous rejections occurring, as parties recognize the expected results, meaning that the offer was simply never officially communicated. In college coaching, it is unusual for a coach to accept a contract offer before it is formally tendered. Generally, outright rejection of offers is uncommon, despite consistent refusals, as individuals understand the context. However, the actual formal presentation of the offer usually takes place only after an agreement has been informally reached. This scenario mirrors the current situation, where all involved parties have a comprehensive understanding of the financial elements at play. Considering the historical context of certain teams, it is probable that this scenario will continue into the months of July or August, as they tend to approach negotiations in this fashion. Their strategy often includes attempts to circumvent the agent, which clearly leads to frustration on the agent's side. This can create a situation in which multiple clients of the agent leave in the same offseason, a circumstance that has recently occurred. Nevertheless, it seems that all parties involved, including the agent, wish for the player to stay with the team, and while the process might be drawn out, a resolution is bound to be reached eventually. More than 30 states, including California, Georgia, and what many call Texas, offer various opportunities for college basketball, as well as options for baseball and, of course, American football. While my focus is on European soccer, I have great respect for those who dedicate themselves to the American style. Regarding American football, I have some concerns about 3 athletes and their specific metrics. Jared Goff may have a reduced number of passing yards, which could hurt the offense this year. Travis Kelce and Rashid Rice should see a decrease in the number of receptions. I think Jared Goff will finish with fewer passing yards. Also, I'm not sure if the Commanders will opt for frequent runs with Jaden Daniels, which leads me to predict a drop in his rushing yards. As for the picks, Toxic Tom reminded me of the time I lost a bet on a player being picked first overall, leading me to dye my hair red. That's the image he currently presents. And I know many watched several draft videos. Which prospect did you think would be a lock but ended up being a disappointment? That's a great question. I'll check my notes. I became less excited about him because I take into account things like data, combine times, and tests. I had Solomon Thomas ranked 7th in my evaluation when analyzing the 2017 draft class. I was actually convinced that a particular player would stand out. Before the combine, he was my number 1 cornerback, ahead of a player who would end up being the first in my analysis. I thought he'd have an excellent performance, but his speed was so disappointing that I had to rethink my position on him. In the same class, I also had great admiration for another player, believing he'd become an exceptional tight end, but positional value issues made that pick disappointing. Additionally, there was high expectation for a player that year, and I believe I would have been right if he'd been able to stay in good shape. My notes over the years are publicly available, so you can take a look. There are plenty of negative surprises. Positional value is a point that often comes up, and that situation was tricky. I also had high hopes for a player that year, who I think would have worked out if he'd just been able to avoid injuries. All of my selection boards are publicly accessible over the years, so you can review them. There are many choices that didn't work out. That's just how things go. About a possible trade involving one of a team's receivers. This could be an option. I don't think they'll trade for a specific player, but it's worth considering another, especially near the end of the contract. They added a new athlete who plays a similar role and brings the speed the team doesn't have. I'm not sure if he's available, but another player could fit as an external vertical threat the team needs. It would have been interesting to make a trade for him instead of another 4th or 5th round pick. So, mention a player from any team that you'd like to see traded. Leave your opinion in the comments. Regarding another athlete, what do you think? I'd love to see him play more. Do you think he could be a number 2 or number 3 running back? The challenge with the number 3 position is that those athletes typically don't participate in special teams, and most of the time, the number 3 running back needs to contribute in these areas or the situation won't work out. I think he could be a number 2 running back, but his height needs to be compensated for by exceptional skills. For this team, considering the investments made, it's crucial to allocate resources to other positions, which ultimately puts a player like the one I mentioned in the background. If a certain player fell to the 9th or 10th pick, would you consider moving up? I would have considered it if they hadn't signed another player. I think that trade would be necessary now, although it's a bit funny. Actually, it's painfully humorless. At the 9th or 10th position, probably at the 10th, you could have used your 4th pick to move up and secure that selection. If OSA hadn't been signed, there would have been significant pressure to make that trade immediately. It's interesting, but not in a funny way, more like something that causes discomfort. With 9 or 10, or probably even 10, it would have been feasible to trade the 4th pick for that selection and move up. This aligns with what the trade value chart suggests in the end. It may be necessary to go after the 9th position, as the Bears are expected to pick 10th, and the Niners would likely go 11th. So, the goal would be to surpass these two teams at that moment. Looking at the trade chart, it's clear that there's not much advantage. Maybe trading the 3rd pick could allow recovery of a 4th. However, there are some caveats to this, as the values assigned to the picks are significant. Nevertheless, that player would be remarkable, so it wouldn't be against it. However, with OSA already on the roster, it's likely that there would be a tendency to wait and see what's available at the 12th pick. Even so, the talent level of Mason from Michigan would definitely warrant serious consideration. This raises an excellent question to reflect on. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The buzz surrounding the potential move of Tristan Wirfs to the Dallas Cowboys has NFL fans on edge. A video surfaced recently, leaving viewers wondering, could this be the next big move in the NFL's offseason? The Dallas Cowboys, already a powerhouse in the NFC, could be poised to make an audacious move to solidify their offensive line. And who better to anchor their front than Tristan Wirfs, the 25-year-old offensive tackle from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Wirfs' career trajectory is nothing short of spectacular. After being selected 13th overall in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Iowa standout wasted no time making an impact. Starting all 16 games in his rookie season, Wirfs allowed just one sack to Khalil Mack in an otherwise flawless campaign. His ability to protect quarterbacks has made him a cornerstone of the Buccaneers' offense and earned him 4 consecutive Pro Bowl selections, with many calling him one of the most dominant tackles in the game. In 2024, Wirfs' already impressive resume hit another milestone. After securing a groundbreaking $140.63 million contract extension, making him the highest-paid offensive lineman in NFL history, Wirfs further proved his versatility. With the Bucs needing him to shift to left tackle, he excelled, earning first-team All-Pro honors, becoming the first player in NFL history to be named to this prestigious position at both right and left tackle. His performance in 2024 confirmed what many had suspected. Wirfs is an elite talent, regardless of position. Now, imagine the impact he could have on the Cowboys' offensive line. With Dak Prescott under center and CeeDee Lamb as the main receiving weapon, adding Wirfs to the fold could elevate this offense to new heights. The Cowboys' offensive line has been solid, but adding an elite force like Wirfs could push them from good to great. With his ability to both protect the quarterback and dominate in the running game, Wirfs could become the centerpiece of an already formidable Dallas front. As the offseason progresses, all eyes will be on the Cowboys and their pursuit of Wirfs. Could this move transform their Super Bowl aspirations? With one of the NFL's best tackles potentially heading to Texas, the answer may very well be yes. For now, fans will continue to speculate, but the video and the murmurs of a possible deal are certainly a sign that something big could be brewing in Dallas. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.